super late. It's dark out there. It's almost the shortest day of the year. And I just got back from work, so I'm really tired. But I'm going to make some homemade bread that's super cheap and super easy. So yeah, let's get started. And this is because things are getting really expensive here. Well, everywhere in the world, really. And one thing about bread in New Zealand is that with the humidity, it just molds. So I thought I'd just make bread because it's fresher and it'll last a few extra days. And when you get bread at the store, it's sitting on the shelf or being transported, so there's less time that you can use it. Anyway, yep, excuse the mess because I haven't cleaned, and I'm just going to make the bread and then clean afterwards because it's easier that way. It's gonna get messy anyway. So here we go. Alright, so I just got the little bowl that goes in the mixer, and I'm going to pour in about 520 grams or 4 cups of whole wheat flour. And I think I might be a little bit short, but I'll just top it up with regular flour. So we'll see how much I have here. Oh no, it unteared itself. Alright, here we go again. Alright, we have exactly 520 grams, which is what I'm looking for. So perfect. So we're also going to add a packet of yeast and half a teaspoon of salt. We have salt right here. Here we have a packet of yeast. So I'm just going to mix everything together, and I'm just going to use this teaspoon that I used the salt for. So next step is to make our hot water and maple syrup mixture, and I don't have any more maple syrup because I used them all up to make homemade granola yesterday, but I'm just going to replace that with honey. So I just grabbed this little bowl and I just turned the sink on to the hot water and just kind of wait till the water gets hot and put 2 cups of warm water. Alright, so I got some honey. I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of it. This is just a half teaspoon, so yeah. And then I'll mix it up in the hot water to kind of dissolve or dilute it a little bit, and pour it in that mixture, and that's pretty much it. So this is a super cheap way to make bread, and it costs way less than the grocery store, and it lasts way longer. And homemade bread's always good, isn't it? It's just great. I mean, it's better than store-bought bread anyway, and it's probably healthier with the whole wheat flour, and it's a lot cheaper. We still have some, but I'm going to bring this to work tomorrow and share it at work. Okay, so I kind of just used the spoon, mixed it up, and poured it in. Alright, so I take the loaf pan and I just spray it with cooking spray. And then I'm just going to put all the contents of that bowl in the loaf pan. I usually use a spatula so it all comes out easily. The nice thing about this bread recipe is that you don't have to let it rest or give time for it to proof, because it's only 20 minutes, and by the time you preheat the oven it's ready to go in. So I'm just about to preheat the oven right now and then clean up the kitchen while I wait to put it in. And you don't really have to knead it too much either. And it'll kind of come up to the edges of the loaf pan, so it'll rise a little bit in that 20 minutes. And when you bake it, it doesn't overflow either, so I do like that. So I just kind of spread it out like you do a quick bread or just like a cake. And then I cover it up and let it rest for a little bit. And it's still warm because of the warm water. It doesn't take long at all. Here is a towel. And I'm gonna cover it up for 20 minutes and I'm gonna preheat the oven while I'm at it. So I preheat the oven for about 200 Celsius or 390. And when it's done, I'll just put it in there for about 40 minutes. Alright, it's 20 minutes and I got the oven preheated and we'll see how this looks. So it did rise a little bit till it's kind of even to the top of the loaf pan. And I did manage to clean that side of the kitchen and do all the dishes while this was going. So I'm going to put it in the oven for about 40 minutes. So here we have it and I'm going to put it in the oven. Okay, so it's in there now. A little cost comparison of that bread I just made. So yeah, I looked up how much a 1.5 kg bag of whole wheat flour costs, and currently at Pack and Save it's about $2.59, and I use about a third of a bag, so a bag makes 3 loaves, so that's about 86 cents. And then the honey costs about 9 cents, and the yeast, a packet costs about 40 cents, although you could probably buy yeast in bulk and put it in the freezer. Our freezer is just really tiny and we don't have room for yeast, and I kind of find that the ones in the packet last longer and there's less risk of it not blooming or not, working. So I buy those and they're 40 cents, about 30 some to 40 cents a packet. And then the other ingredient would be salt, which is only half a teaspoon really, so I'm not going to count that. And then water, and that's just water. So it's about 86 cents for the flour, 10 cents for the honey, and about 40 cents for the yeast. So that comes up to be about $1.35. So about $1.50 including the cost of power. You get a loaf of bread, freshly baked, delicious whole wheat bread for $1.50, and you can barely get that at the grocery store now, and many times they just go bad because they've been sitting on the shelf or they've been out being transported and they just mold within a couple days. And when you're just 2 people, sometimes you take a few more extra days to eat and you don't want to put it in the refrigerator, because sometimes room temperature bread does sound really good. And we also don't own a toaster, so we don't really toast. Well, we don't eat toast on a regular basis, so we just deal with not having a toaster. So it works out really well to have room temperature bread instead of having to heat all the bread in the oven all the time. So less than $1.50. I just take it out of the pan and kind of let it cool a little bit. So the bread's pretty much cool now and it's ready to be cut. I'm just gonna wait till I get to work to cut it. From the pan it looks kind of moist over here, but it really isn't. So it's pretty dry and it's looking really good. So I'll bring it to work tomorrow.